Hey guys, my name is Mayukh Raj Gattu, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe so that you don't miss any uploads that I make. Anyway, today's topic is about the fourth and final part of the World War I series, so let's get started.
So now we're gonna learn about Austria-Hungary's offensive in Italy. Austria-Hungary, after seeing the German spring offensive on the Western Front, decided to support them by launching their own offensive on the Italian front. But the offensive was a defeat, as the Italians managed to resist the Austrians for 2 days, until the Austro-Hungarian military called off the attack. This improved Italian morale after their terrible defeats in 1917 and destroyed whatever good morale Austrian soldiers had in 1917. And now is when the Central Powers collapse, as on the Western Front, after Germany's failed offensive, the Allies, which now included the USA, launched an offensive to take back all the land that the Germans managed to capture in the Spring Offensive, and it worked. Soon, the front line would turn to what it was in 1917, and the Allies weren't done yet, as they launched yet another offensive on something called the Hindenburg Line, which was the main line that Germany defended on the Western Front. Soon, this time, the Allies attacked, including literally every single Allied soldier on the Western Front, and it worked out greatly, as the Allies pushed the Germans all the way back to the original border before the war. And while this was happening, Austria-Hungary was having a similar fate as the Germans, as the Italians attacked the city of Vittorio Veneto, which proved to be horrible for the Austro-Hungarian military, as the Italian soldiers captured 300,000 Austro-Hungarian soldiers in this one battle. After this, the Italians made a massive offensive along the entire front, and this made the front line go back to the original border, just like the Western Front. Then the Italians pressed on their advantage and kept advancing until they reached the city of Trieste, which was one of their major goals for the war. So now we will look at a few honorable mentions. First is the Ottoman Empire and its participation in the war by fighting Britain and Russia. Next is the African Front, where Germany fought Britain and Russia for control over Africa. And then there's the Pacific Front, where Japan fought Germany for some islands in the Pacific Ocean. So after the collapse of the Central Powers, they decided to surrender, as they found no point in fighting. So now we'll look at the treaties that came after the surrender. So outside of France, in the Palace of Versailles, the Treaty of Versailles was signed with many different countries attending it. The treaty would decide on what to do with Germany, but surprisingly enough, almost every country but Germany was invited, and Germany was forced to agree to whatever terms the other countries put on the treaty. And these terms were that Germany should have a very small military, couldn't have an air force, had to give up territory, and had to pay the Allies a huge fine, which it didn't have. And this made many Germans very unhappy, who wanted their country to have more freedom on their treaty. Then there's the Treaty of Trianon, which decided what to do with Austria-Hungary. In the end, the Allies decided that Austria-Hungary should be split up into many other smaller countries. These countries include Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. It also had to give up territories to countries like Poland, Romania, and Italy. Italy was finally given the city of Trieste. So in conclusion, World War I is a war like none other. It completely changed the way armies fight, as it introduced new weapons and tactics that have never been seen before. Its death toll was also disastrous, as 16 million people died worldwide, and it is also the cause of destroying entire villages and even cities. But the new treaties with both Germany and Austria-Hungary and many other factors would cause the Second World War, as many nations were unhappy with how the war turned out for their country and started the Second World War to meet their country's needs. But that is a story for another time. So for now, bye.